Welcome back to our continuous coverage on what is happening in the Iran-Israel war. And Donald Trump has just put out a message on his social media post saying that the United States has carried out airstrikes on all 3 nuclear sites in Iran. We'll get Donald Trump's social media post in just a bit, but this is what the American president is now announcing to the world, that the United States has carried out a very successful attack on the nuclear sites in Iran, which includes the facilities of Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan. Remember, this was something that was being speculated upon even until a few minutes back. Donald Trump had just said only time will tell in his previous social media post just some moments back, but this is his latest social media post where he's now announcing airstrikes on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, which includes Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan. The American president further said that all planes are now outside the Iranian airspace. This is his precise social media post on Truth Social, and I quote him here: "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran's airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site Fordo, and all planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter." So there are several important things that stand out here. He has said that the attack was successful. It has been completed where 3 nuclear stations, nuclear facilities of Iran at Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan have been bombed by the Americans. He also went on to reiterate a full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary sites Fordo. All planes are now safely on their way home. Congratulations to our American warrior. There's not another military in the world that could have done this. And here is the critical part. Now is the time for peace, says Donald Trump, all in caps. So is it now time for peace, or is this just the beginning of America's involvement in what could potentially be a long drawn-out war on Iran along with the Israelis? And our correspondent Susan Tehrani, of course, is joining us with more updates on this. Susan, what's the latest on the story?
Well, Mohammed, as you noted, social media sites and news websites are blowing up with this post by President Donald Trump. The attack, it came on the 9th of that war between Israel and Iran, and there's no doubt that it could provoke retaliation from Tehran against U.S. troops and military installations across the region. We know that the U.S. military now conducted airstrikes on those nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Remember, Natanz also had an underground section that the Israelis had a very hard time getting to. This decision to intervene directly in support of Israel's effort to dismantle Iran's nuclear program really marks a historic escalation in the Middle East at this point. It's an intervention fraught with risks, uncertainty, but it's one that President Trump decided to do and reached the conclusion that it is now or never. We anticipated something was going to happen this weekend, considering the fact that the U.S. air carriers are already in the region right now, the Nimitz, the other ones, and also because President Trump yesterday cut his trip short from New Jersey, and we saw in his press statement that he sends out to the media, the White House sends out to the media, that he was going to meet with his national security team at the Oval Office at 6 p.m. local time in Washington, D.C. So once we knew that he's going to make this trip back, there was anticipation that something was going to happen. Something is going on.
Indeed, something was going on, because this is what Donald Trump had put out in his social media post a little while back, where when he was asked what will happen, he had said that only time will tell. And then half an hour, 1 hour later, he'd of course put out this social media post of his, confirming that the attack was a very successful one, which targeted 3 of the Iranian nuclear facilities of Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan. All planes are now outside the Iranian airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site Fordo, and all planes are now safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There's not another military in the world that could have done this, and now is the time for peace, says the American president. Susan, there was a lot of speculation that was rife. There were these B-2 bombers that had taken off from the Missouri Air Base and were headed to Guam. A lot of people were saying that probably these could have been deployed for carrying out an attack, but that clearly looks like a decoy, because no one publicizes the manner in which these military assets have moved, expecting that they would be involved in the attack. At this moment, has any information come out yet as to how this attack was effected?
We're going to get more information. Right now, this is the initial news that we got from President Trump. Of course, he wanted to keep U.S. troops safe. He, as you mentioned, is really the master at not revealing his cards, although we reported on WION, it was anticipated that 2-week window that he gave just seemed too far-fetched, considering the situation Iran and Israel were in right now and the urgency that Israel and the United States were displaying about Iran's nuclear capabilities. And so, we'll figure out soon enough, and we'll know soon enough what military equipment and bombers and aircraft were used. But I think it's very important to note that the United States was able to go over Iranian airspace the way that it did, the manner that it did, and possibly because the Iranians just simply don't control their airspace right now. It's under the control of Israel. And I think that's what made it, so undetectable and so possible so fast.
Right. Now, we need to, of course, see as to how the Iranians, of course, respond to this. They could respond in a number of different ways, saying that although the Americans claim that they've struck the sites, maybe they may not have suffered the damage to the extent that the Americans are claiming, or the Iranians could, of course, respond militarily, because they've said that attacking their nuclear facilities is a clear red line, and any nation that aids the Israelis in the war they started with Operation Rising Lion will also become a legitimate target. So this is the United States of America jumping into this war in a very formal manner. The American president says that the airstrikes have been successful. 3 nuclear sites have been targeted, but there's something interesting that he's saying. Now is the time for peace. How are we to interpret this, Susan? Is this the American president now saying that, listen, we've carried out the attacks that we wanted to, and we don't want to fight anymore? What are we to make of this?
Perhaps, but I do want to say we're just getting word right now, Mohammed, and I think we'll get a better understanding of what he means and what direction the United States is going to move towards moving forward. He's expected to address the nation at 9 p.m. That's right. In about 50 minutes' time.
In about 16 minutes' time, we'll, of course, hear from the American president. We need to wait and watch and listen to what the American president now has to say, because we still do not know. This is a very precarious moment. This is a moment where everything stands on a knife's edge. It's difficult to predict as to how things will unfold from here. Remember, bombing nuclear facilities is never a good option to resort to, but this is what the American president says that the American military has done, and now we need to wait for the Iranian response. We also need to wait for the Israeli reaction. I'm pretty sure Benjamin Netanyahu, who has been exhorting Donald Trump to get involved, will have something to say on these. These are developments that are happening pretty thick and fast, and we need to wait and watch as to how things